The prevalence of falsehoods in our society has led us astray from normality, thrusting us into an inscrutable haze where truth remains obscured. Lies have long served political purposes, acting as a shield for corruption, past transgressions, and hidden agendas. They play a crucial role in political campaigns. However, there are instances when political falsehoods assume a more sinister guise, infiltrating every facet of life and infecting society as a whole. This portends a foreboding rise of totalitarianism. As the esteemed political philosopher Hannah Arendt astutely observed, totalitarianism seeks to transmute reality into fiction, a deliberate endeavor by corrupt and pathological state actors to impose a contrived narrative upon the entire populace. In Nazi Germany, the big lie revolved around the notion of a superior race and the vilification of others. In the Soviet Union, it propagated the idea of a triumphant state, communism, and the pursuit of equality. From these grand falsehoods, a deluge of smaller lies ensued. Alexander Solzhenitsyn aptly remarked that in the context of communist Russia, the lie has become not just a moral category, but a pillar of the state. Life under Soviet rule in Czechoslovakia, as described by Václav Havel, echoed similar sentiments, emphasizing the all-pervading hypocrisy and falsehoods that saturated the system. In a political regime constructed upon lies, how can we reserve the tide and restore truth and freedom? Drawing inspiration from Alexander Solzhenitsyn and Václav Havel, we delve into this profound question. On the eve of his exile from the Soviet Union, Solzhenitsyn penned an essay titled "Live Not by Lies," wherein he solemnly warned of an impending spiritual and physical decay unless we confront the truth with unwavering courage. He wrote, "We may lack the strength, but we can do everything, even if we delude ourselves with the falsehood of our incapability. The burden of guilt lies not with others, but with ourselves." When a state succumbs to totalitarianism, its individuals are not mere victims. Throughout the 20th century, totalitarian regimes ascended to power amid fervent applause, as many citizens openly supported the brutal control that characterized such governance. Without mass compliance and support, the ruling minority would be rendered impotent. Therefore, the culpability for oppression, suffering, and loss of life under totalitarianism cannot be solely attributed to politicians and bureaucrats. A significant share of blame rests upon the citizens who either endorse this form of rule or choose not to resist it. Václav Havel elucidates in his book, The Power of the Powerless, that there exists an inherent propensity within human beings to adapt to totalitarian systems. They find themselves compelled to live within a web of lies because they possess the capacity to do so. Thus, this system not only alienates humanity, but also relies on alienated humanity to sustain itself. A twisted reflection of individual human failings, if feeble and fearful individuals fueled the growth of totalitarianism. The remedy lies in a personal revolution that awakens self-responsibility, courage, and fortitude. The most potent resistance against totalitarianism lies in its expulsion from our own souls, circumstances, and society at large. Alexander Solzhenitsyn played a pivotal role in the downfall of the Soviet Empire, advocating for a personal revolution that strikes at the heart of totalitarianism, the lies upon which it thrives. In Live Not by Lies, Solzhenitsyn unveils a neglected yet accessible key to liberation: personal abstention from participating in falsehoods. Even amidst a sea of untruths and the prevailing dominance of the system, we can resist in the smallest of ways, ensuring that we do not become complicit. Václav Havel, a dissident in communist Czechoslovakia who later assumed the presidency, echoed Solzhenitsyn's sentiments, affirming that the most potent weapon against totalitarian rule is the commitment to living within the truth. Havel referred to this commitment as living within the truth. As the fundamental pillar of totalitarian system is living a lie, it comes as no surprise that truth possesses the most fundamental threat to their existence. Consequently, truth must be suppressed more fiercely than anything else. Living within the truth necessitates rejecting the lies propagated by the state and refusing to conform to its propaganda. It entails living as authentically and freely as possible, expressing our individuality without hesitation. This spontaneity, with its incalculable nature, as aptly described by Hannah Arendt, becomes the greatest impediment to the total domination of humanity. Living within the truth entails following our conscience, placing morality above unjust laws, fearlessly pursuing personal and communal values, and expressing our thoughts without inhibition, undeterred by ridicule. Such a way of life fosters a cultural renaissance, countering the march of the totalitarian system towards cultural stagnation, suffering, and demise. Our path must be one that repudiates the endorsement of falsehoods, never knowingly support lies. During the Velvet Revolution in communist Czechoslovakia, the non-violent overthrow of totalitarianism relied not only on political reform, but also on the increasing presence of individuals committed to living within the truth, even during the darkest times. These individuals could have been poets, painters, musicians, ordinary citizens who managed to preserve their human dignity. The attempt at political reform did not initiate society's awakening. Rather, it was the culmination thereof. As an illustrative example, Havel recounts the story of the Plastic People of the Universe, a rock band in communist Czechoslovakia. Musicians were required to register with authorities and were prohibited from creating music deemed provocative or threatening to the political system. However, the Plastic People of the Universe refused to conform, leading to their arrest following a concert in 1976. The subsequent trial gathered significant public interest. The state media labeled the band members as drug addicts, mentally deranged extremists, and traitors. Despite this, numerous citizens wearied of living within a lie stood in support of these young musicians. As Havel notes, the trial marked the commencement of the year for totalitarianism in Czechoslovakia. He writes, "The Plastic People of the Universe were ordinary young people who simply aspired to live within the truth, play their music, and revel in freedom and dignity." The impact of ordinary individuals committed to living within the truth and revitalizing society is exemplified by the role of this rock band in toppling the totalitarian system in Czechoslovakia. It underscores an underappreciated characteristic of such political systems. They are inherently feeble, fragile, and reliant on a continuous infusion of fear and lies to avert collapse. This fragility elucidates why totalitarian regimes relentlessly defame and persecute anyone, even harmless musicians, who dare to live within the truth. Truth stands as the primary adversary of totalitarianism, corroding the very foundation of falsehoods on which it rests. Havel further expounds, "The facade constructed by a life of lies appears impenetrable as long as it isolates society, seemingly composed of impenetrable stone. However, the instant someone pierces through, cries out, and exposes the shred, everything is cast in a different light. The facade crumbles, revealing a frail fabric teetering on the edge of tearing and disintegrating uncontrollably." The brittleness of the totalitarian system underscores the significance of as many individuals as possible, ceasing to be servile to state lies. Just as individual complicity fuels totalitarianism, it is the renewed courage of individuals committed to living within the truth that weakens and ultimately dismantles it. Totalitarian systems condition their citizens to believe that individuals are powerless to effect social and political change. However, history has repeatedly demonstrated otherwise. As Solzhenitsyn once remarked, "One man who stops lying could bring down a tyranny." Our choice of words and actions not only reflects our character, but also influences the state of society. When confronted with the reality of living under totalitarian rule, the fundamental choice lies between standing for truth and freedom, or aligning with lies and malevolent authority. Those who choose the latter, whether out of fear, apathy, or the desire for the path of least resistance, should contemplate Solzhenitsyn's words. Let him not boast about his progressive views, his academic or artistic status, his citizenship, or military rank. Let him openly acknowledge, I am cattle, I am a coward, seeking only warmth and sustenance. By embracing truth and committing to living within the truth, we hold the key to our liberation and the potential dismantling of totalitarianism.